Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful day, and it was a very interesting day for the market. Opening up, we saw a little bit of momentum and optimism, and then it kind of pulled back a little bit, but then the dip was bought back towards the end of the trading session. Basically consolidating on the day. What's the move for tomorrow? We'll be talking about our possible predictions. Talking about the market, it's at an interesting point. Palantir is at an interesting point, sitting at these all-time highs. I mean, every time it legs up, that next $10 to $20, it basically consolidates and it holds there. And that's what's happening right now as we speak. So we'll be talking about everything you need to know, some of the big announcements that we have. Tesla making a big announcement with their business. We'll see how they trade tomorrow. And we'll be talking about some of the stocks that we've been on the watch list doing well and some that are pulling back. And, could there be possible decent entry points? So hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. Pop it up on the screen here. Starting, of course, with Palantir, what we've been talking about for a long time at 182 now. Crazy to see since we've been talking about this. It still amazes me. We've been talking about this since the mid-10s. So seeing Palantir 182 now is just absolutely bananas. But, for the people that have held it out, have held and just have gone long on it, wow. I mean, a major accomplishment. In terms of its actual trading action, you can see it's just kind of hanging out here at the 182s. And like I mentioned before, anytime Palantir gaps up, just kind of holds there. I am personally would not be shorting Palantir. Because it's just interesting. Their deep connections to the government, the amount of money falling into the stock is absolute bananas. So in the overnight hours, it's still continuing to rise about $1. In the overnight hours, you can see right now currently at 183.20 when we speak. So as it sits right here, we'll see how it plays out on Friday, as we do have futures that are actually up right now about 0.3% across the board. Even though these futures don't have a large impact, it's more of, kind of pre-market, what's going to be happening in the first few hours of the market. What we're seeing here is talking about some of the tariff uncertainty that's kind of coming back in, kind of coming, not being that, I would say, as an influencer on the markets. President Trump's basically, those reciprocal tariffs that he had announced, they took into effect midnight on Thursday. That's where they're going to take, with some of the steepest duties and close. You see this 41% in Syria, 40%, on these other ones. I don't think these small countries really make a difference. It's more about, what are the big key players like Japan, China, Europe, India, the big trade partners. That is what the market, I think, cares about, and it has more of an influence in terms of volatility. We do know about the 100% tariff on the imported semiconductor chips. That's not going to be affecting companies that are building within the United States. So I think the market's getting less turbulent. I would agree with the statement, less turbulent regarding tariffs, just because we've been talking about it so much now, and now it just seems like it's kind of been digested and not much of a reaction in terms of price action. And of course, if he made some crazy announcement, that's where we could see bigger swings. So nonetheless, we'll just be seeing how tomorrow trades. What we have been typically seeing in terms of the S&P 500 and the index, right now it's 63.40. This is a resistance point at 63.40. If it opens up above that and holds, that's where we can see the retesting to about 6,400. Now, 6,400 is a big resistance point. It's basically at market all-time highs. We've had some decent amount of rejections there, like 2 or maybe even 3 rejections there. So if that does get rejected, that's where we could see a move back down. And of course, if the 63.40 right here does not hold, we could see a move down back to about 6,300, testing support right there. So I'll be keeping that on the radar, just kind of trading, consolidating, choppiness in the market. Talking about some individual stocks, we see Tesla right here disbanding the Dojo team, shifting AI strategy to rely more on NVIDIA and AMD. Now, this is a pretty big move for Tesla in terms of their business decisions, and this is coming out here from Bloomberg. Now, you also have the head of this team also leaving the company and shifting AI strategy. Instead of trying to compete with NVIDIA and AMD, relying and outsourcing to rely on their actual products. As we know, both of these companies doing very well in terms of creating some very powerful GPUs for AI. And Tesla really needs to get a hold of some good AI chips to help advance, of course, autonomous driving, FSD, and Optimus, which is a big kind of speculation in terms of robotics for if Tesla can properly execute on Optimus, that could add a lot of value to the actual company. So Tesla doesn't want to get left behind in terms of this AI race, and you can see here disbanding this team, it may be for the better. In terms of the reaction of it, not too crazy. Tesla kind of traded interesting, here today. Opened up here at about this 320. You see traded here, it comes down here to 316 in the last few hours of the market, pops back up here to 322. 319, basically 320 in the overnight hours. It's in this very tight band. If we kind of pull up Tesla on the actual total watch kind of historical graph here, let me pull it up. Tesla's in this really tight type of situation. You can see right here, just zooming in on this triangle, focusing right about here. Tesla's going to be either making a move, breaking out above it, or falling below. That's where you can see Tesla testing the 300s again. If we see a drop below, we know Tesla has a lot of support there, or possibly breaking out. In terms of this news, though, not a ton of reaction, not a lot of price movement, because there's probably just controversial views on it, but we'll see what happens in terms of tomorrow. One big thing that I do like to talk about in terms of tomorrow, with the SPY sitting at 634 right now, is that typically on Friday, we actually have some red. More historically in the last few weeks, Fridays have been red, more of a pullback, and that could be a de-risking going into the weekend, because we know with this administration, we don't know what kind of things are going to be said, especially on X over the weekend. So de-risking, that's what I think we're seeing a lot of in terms of leverage positions and just options and things like that in terms of Friday, and because people don't want to worry about it and have to deal with the mental energy of it, because we know things are bouncing around like crazy in this market, and especially with this new administration that's came in. So with that being said, the last 4, if I believe 5 Fridays, something like that, have closed in the red. So we do have the odds against the bulls in terms of actually having a positive closure. But nonetheless, if the SPY or if the S&P 500 does cool back down here to the 6,300, I'll be just looking at dip opportunities, because in terms of what's going to be happening with the Santa rally going into the fall, very bullish there. Big announcement. Trump had talked and actually called for a major announcement to come to the White House, a press basically presenting new data, talking about this, how this literally just came out. He's basically showing Biden's, the Bureau of Labor Statistics had overestimated job creation by 1.5 million jobs. So he's got the easel here with the artwork on there, and he's basically just presenting, showing that this was overestimated, the job creation. So that was the announcement. He said it was going to be a major one for the economy. That was it. Doesn't really seem like the market's really reacting that much in the overnight hours here. We'll see maybe if there'll be some bigger changes come market open. One of the big stocks that we've been talking about, though, where earnings was very, very well, was NBIS. Hey, we were just talking about NBIS here. Remember, NBIS was here trading at about $50, consolidating for a while. I can see a nice cup and handle here that's basically starting to form. With NBIS, they destroyed expectations, really popped up here. As you can see, opened up here at 65 and popped up about 20% on the day. In terms of NBIS, their stock is doing very well. Revenue of $105 million versus 101. Raised the bottom and end full year of guidance to $900 from $700 million. And also assuming the 70% utilization rate, achieving a $7 billion revenue. So talking about here at 5x sales, there's a $35 billion company. They're only at 15. If you guys don't know what NBIS is, NBIS, what they do, they have a lot of involvement in the European side of things and also working to build centers right now in America, but kind of building the whole AI full stack cloud infrastructure. So basically what they do with Core, what CoreWeave does, bringing basically AI computing power to companies or individuals or whoever that wants to rent it out, who can't afford the AI chips because they are very expensive. So CoreWeave right here, as you can see, since they've had their large sell-off from 187, found that bounce at 100, they pop up here at 121. I think just looking at these cloud AI infrastructure providers, CoreWeave having a positive reaction there on top of that. So NBIS doing good right here. I'll be keeping on the radar, and possibly if we see a little bit of a pullback, because this is kind of a big gap that gets created here, we'll see what happens with this gap or this pulls back at all, depending on the macroeconomic situation. Oklo, we can see the stock's just been on an incredible run. Look at that cup and handle there. Wow, popping up here to 85, cooling off a little bit, no issues there. Looking at ASTS. Now, ASTS has had more of a sell-off than basically entering possibly. Could this be another wave pullback? and ASTS working on space satellite cell communication. Could be testing the support here at about 44. I'm going to be watching it because, it was just at 60 not that long ago. ASTS, I'm still very bullish on the stock going forward in terms of its valuation. I have to do a deeper dive on that, but could be interesting for some possible long-term entry points. Looking at UNH here, a falling knife. This thing is still continuing to fall at 244 here. Wow, I was considering entering a position around, that 287, thinking that was like that support area, 280s. But down here at 244, I guess we'll just wait to see where NBIS kind of confirms and finds its, or sorry, not NBIS, United Health kind of confirms and finds its bottom. So I'm going to have for you guys. Peace out, take care. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys later for Friday.